What's up guys, this is Chris with Half Chrome. This here is a 3D printed, bought from Teemu, less than $100. Today we're going to find out if it's any good. They sent this along with some other items, some 3D printer filament here, some 3D print pens, and a bunch of other random widgets and gadgets and things that I thought might be kind of interesting to see kind of what Teemu has overall, including this piece of artwork that I framed up back here and this Back to the Future t-shirt.
And this magnesium shoe attachment.
So let's find out, did Teemu pull through here? Can you actually get a 3D printer that can print for under $100? And what about their other stuff? Is it any good? Are the deals really that great? Can I get a canvas for $2? Let's find out. I'll be right back for a full review of my TEMU haul. Welcome back guys. Before we can go back to the future, let's go back in time real quick before I tried this stuff out. I already recorded some stuff about all the links Teemu wants me to share with you. Special deals, getting this actually under $50. So I'll be right back in the future, which is now, to talk about how these things worked out. Now before I go further, I'm going to take care of some business here that Teemu asked me to do. There's a bunch of links here available down in the description. I'm going to throw up here some QR codes as well. So I don't know what you do. You like move your phone real fast and take a picture of the QR code. But you can actually click on the image if you save the image to your phone. I tried it here. Watch what I'm doing. It does take you to a link. It does take you to a place you could buy this for $42. The print pen kit here for like $3 and something. And a filament for also just for $3. So definitely worth checking out those links. Hopefully they still work for you by the time you watch this video. If not, the deals are really good. In particular, products like this, with the link for $42, it's often on Teemu for $100 or less. So you can find the same printer depending on the kit and package and maybe different sellers for $120 all the way down to around $70, $80. So even if you don't get advantage of these links here, do check out Teemu to see if they're available at those prices, and always keep checking. So there's tons of sales on Teemu and the prices do change with time. So keep an eye on stuff. Really, it's a little bit different of a shopping experience than you might have other places where the prices are very dynamic and they're looking to get you to buy quickly. And I almost forgot, check in the description here too. Use this code. I'll put it up here on the screen. You can just type it in. When you get the Teemu app, they're saying another $100 worth of coupons available to you. All right, I definitely have my work cut out for me. We got to see if this stuff now is any good. All right, so let's get into the 3D printer. This is the EasyThreed K9. There are multiple listings for this on Teemu's website, a variety of prices. As far as I can tell, they're all the same. So I got one of them. They sent it to me, and let's talk about how it works. Overall, super impressed that it prints at all. I mean, for under $100. How do they do that? That's kind of what I want to talk about first. How can you make a 3D printer so inexpensive? So one is the stages. These three stages, this is Z, X, and Y, they are all identical. It doesn't matter which you put where, they're all the same. There is no actual difference between them. And so what that means is they can build them all identically, very inexpensively. The more times in manufacturing that you can build the same thing and just put 3 of them in there, it saves some money. They are plastic, they do have some flexibility, and that does affect somewhat the accuracy of the print. But overall, I thought it was just a very clever design the way this thing goes together. Number 2, the 3D print bed is not heated. Obviously there's no self-leveling, you level it manually, but it is not a heated bed, which is a first for me. However, the PLA seems to stick to it quite well. I'm sure there's some setting optimization you could do to make it work well every time. I had a little lift up with one of my parts, but that's not rare at all when you're learning a new 3D printer. Next up is the controls. So everything's just super simple. So there's just a 3-position switch on the side, which is just feed for loading, unfeed or unload, filament. There's a switch goes to the other extreme, and then in the middle is print. And you just press the play button. It's going to print whatever the most recently saved G code is. So it's really, really just unbelievably simple. Very limited controls. Another way that they're saving some money there. No LCD display here. Finally, and this is probably really the only issue with the 3D printer, is just some wobble in the bearings. So these are not precise roller bearings. These are just like Delrin or PTFE Teflon plastic linear bearings that let these different stages slide around. And because of that, they do have some play. In addition to the flexibility of the plastic, it is going to inevitably affect the quality of the 3D print, but at the end of the day, you are getting 3D prints off of here, and it does work. Read some other reviews on Teemu's website. They do seem like legitimate reviews, and people overall are just surprised, just like me, that you can really get a 3D printer for less than $100, and it does work. So I do think it is impressive in the sense of how they're able to get cost out of this, and it is really the only way I'm aware of getting into the hobby for less than $100. Is this going to be your last 3D printer? I don't think so. I think it's something that's going to get you inspired. If you think you have someone who might be interested in learning about the hobby, I do think it is a good starter platform. Another thing I was super impressed with this 3D printer were the instructions. They're unbelievably good. We're used to getting stuff here at Half Chrome with, say, very mediocre instructions at best. Here they're very complete. They walk you through any troubleshooting, any issues you might run into, and they give you 3 different ways to print things. So they give you a file or 2 to print right off the bat. So it printed this rocket, prints in no time. And then they guide you to a website with some downloadable G code and other files. Now, I personally don't recommend just getting G code because it wasn't necessarily created for this printer. The parts might be too big. So I always kind of recommend skipping that. I prefer getting my STL files, which is your typical file that you're going to be able to use in a slicer program, and I slice them myself. The slicer they point you to is called Cura. I'd never used it before, but it's a free download, and it was fine. It works like most slicers. You put the part in there, you can scale it, move it around. I did find it fairly intuitive, easy to use. A hot tip is read the directions on the card that they give you. So they give you a little SD card that you can use for transferring G code over to the printer, but there's also a ton of instructions on there. And there's an example file. All you do is you drag it over to the Cura slicer, and it kind of sets up the template, because you won't find a slicer with this exact printer in it to kind of define all the settings. But when you drag that project in, it kind of pulls all the settings with it. And so after that, I just uploaded my own part, sliced away, printed away, and kind of proved that you don't just get the one rocket that comes on the card. You can print whatever you want on here. One downside of the printer, other than just maybe not the most precise device, is that it is slow. So the Cura would say that it's going to take maybe 4 hours to print something, and it's maybe 3-4 times that. Not sure why this printer seems to run a little bit slower. It's much closer to accurate if you use no infill. So this part here was printed with no infill at all. And I think it is the infill, it really hesitates a little bit. It kind of pauses. And I'm not sure why that is, but it isn't the world's fastest printer, and you're not going to really know exactly how long a print job is going to take, at least in my experience. I'm sure there's some settings you could do to get this all dialed in a little bit more, but out of the box, it is pretty slow. All right, let's get into some of these other items. These print pens are unbelievably inexpensive, so less than 10 bucks. If you're at all interested in these, there really isn't a reason not to get one. With the coupon code, even cheaper. And me and my kids have been having a lot of fun. We made some things here, made a little Half Chrome logo here, made a bicycle. This is a template they give you, and some other stuff that my kids made. I think my son calls this guy Mr. Skibbity or something like that. Mr. Sigma, I don't know. They also sent me some filament. I said you can't give me this stuff without filaments. They gave me some good variety packs for the print pen. These are all shorter samples. And some spools here. These spools have been working great. These two here, which is a little Groot printed with some brown, I think it's supposed to be like a wood-like material, on my Prusa Mini. And this, which is like a 20-hour print, this is a little planter including drainage and a little capture bowl under it. This using a granite-like material, looks almost like cookies and cream, ice cream. So like a granite-like material, no issues with these filaments. The only two filaments I tried on the EasyThreed K9 were these two glow-in-the-dark filaments. Why did I only do those on here? Well, because they come on nice small spools. Anything big like this one here is my granite spool, probably be a little bit too heavy for this. So if you do have bigger sources of material, you're going to probably want to kind of re-spool that up on something smaller. Overall, happy with the filament, 3D print pen, and the EasyThreed K9. Let's take a look at some of the other crazy stuff that they sent me.
So Teemu sent me these LED lights. I thought based on the box that they'd have some additional modes. I was really hoping that color would be different in different parts of the strip. That wasn't the case, but that doesn't keep my son from loving these around his new desk setup that he put in his room. So happy customer. Next up is these multicolored pens. Pretty basic here, lots of colors and even a pencil all in one. Nothing too crazy, just thought it'd be interesting to try some office equipment. Next up here are these sparkers that you can strap to the bottom of your shoe, often marketed for motorcyclers who do some freestyle stuff. But we threw this on my son's shoe for his e-bike, and we had a good time. They do wear down quickly, so if you want to show off in front of your friends, make sure you buy duplicates. Here I've got a set of socket holders. So I've had these random sets of older sockets for socket wrenches hanging around my garage for a while. These are not super standard. There's some specialty stuff, some longer bits, really big ones as well, and even some for square drivers instead of normal hexagonal bolts. So had these sitting around, and finally I can get them organized. These things worked great, and I can put them into drawers now, or you could hang them on the wall and they won't get disorganized and mixed up. Now let's take a look at how I assembled this artwork. Basically, a lot of the artwork comes what they call unframed. That doesn't just mean there isn't a nice pretty forward-facing border frame around it. It means that they're actually just a rolled up canvas. I mean, how else can you produce and ship something at such a low price? So it does make sense. Lucky for me, I've got a wood shop here, and I was able to build a frame and then easily with a staple gun stretch the canvas around that frame. So all you really need is a chop saw, and maybe a table saw if you want to rip some wood to size, and a nail gun, and some wood glue comes in handy as well. Finally, you just need the staple gun. Pretty easy, just followed some instructions online, basically tighten from the middle first and then work your way out to the corners. So very happy with these canvases. Definitely going to be looking around more on Teemu to see if there's some other interesting artwork I could get.
So that is the review of the entire Teemu haul. Overall, I am impressed. Everything worked, including the EasyThreed K9 3D printer. The kids are loving these 3D print pens, making me wonder why I've never gotten one before. So thank you, Teemu, for sending these over. Hope it will keep them busy. Maybe I'll hide them till winter time when they can't go outside, and this will keep them busy for a few days. If I go back to Teemu, what's it going to be for? Honestly, I think it's going to be for the artwork. You might have to dig around a bit, but there is a very broad selection, and it's unbelievably inexpensive. And I'm going to definitely be going back to look for those pieces of art that are a crazy good deal, because I've got a lot of unoccupied wall space around my house. The other thing I'm going to be going back for is the shop accessories. So lots of unbelievably inexpensive things that are going to help you out, like my socket holders. I've been having those sockets sit out forever, consuming space on my bench, and now they're finally organized. So check out Teemu yourself, check out the coupon codes. Make sure you check us out at halfchrome.com as well, and check out Teemu. We will see you guys next time here on Half Chrome.